Welcome everyone to SEO Office Hours. My name is Michael Chidzey. I'm an SEO here at Good Signals, and part of what we do along with special guests are these office hour sessions where people can jump in and ask their questions around their website and web search. By the way, nobody here is in the hot seat and we might not know all the answers, but multiple heads thinking about a problem should help. We've had a bunch of questions submitted already, as you can see, which we will go through. But if there's anybody here live on the call who would like to ask any questions, please feel free to flag yourself in the chat functionality, which will be monitored. Also, there's usually a bunch of other amazing SEOs on the call. And I think one of my personal favorite things about office hours is those people also sharing their ideas, experiences, and perspectives. So please continue to do that because it makes it so awesome. Like every week, with me today is Juliana Turnbull, also known as SEO Joe Blogs. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mike. Yes, and a good morning to everyone joining us live. This is our 63rd episode. Hello, Steve, Frank, we have Rob, Louise, Gatsy, we have Jordan, Franziska, Lisa, Naveen, Helen, Ikra, Dan. We have Dan joining us, Walid. We have Carolis, Helen, Boran, Olacy. We've got quite a few people in the house today. And hello, Simon and Louise and Gatsy. Thank you all for joining us today. As I mentioned, it's our 63rd episode. I'm very excited to have so many people here today. Just write a note where you're dialing in from who has said before. I think we have people calling in from Germany, Spain, UK, we have Pakistan, India, I think we have Nigeria, I think we have maybe Tanzania, but let me know if I've missed one as well, because it's nice to have an international SEO office hours. Mike just said, oh, he's in London. Simon's in Antarctica. I think it's because it must be really cold in the UK. Gatsy, Cape Town, yes. Oh, Bangladesh. Okay, a few more countries. Great. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining us today. As Mike said, I'm Juliana Turnbull, and I'm really happy to be the co-host of this show that we have. And I also run events in my free time, Search London and Search Barcelona. We had our last Search Barcelona event at the end of February, and some of those that join SEO Office Hours come to those events. And I'm really happy to welcome today two great special guests for SEO Office Hours. We have Marcus Tober, and we also have María Alexandrakis de Castro. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Did I say that correctly, Maria?
It was very charming. María Alexandrakis de Castro, yes.
Thank you both for joining us today. Marcus, actually, I've known Marcus for some time. I met him back in 2012 when I took part of the State of Search or State of Digital Blog Roadshow. And I came to see you at Searchmetrics. And then I was fortunate enough to work there for a few years. And then I've recently joined where you are at the moment at SEMrush. Yeah, it's good to be working with you again, but obviously in different teams. And Marcus is now the SVP of the Enterprise Solutions at SEMrush. He's been there since 2022, and he serves as the Managing Director of SEMrush Deutschland. As I mentioned, he's also was working at Searchmetrics, at his company that he founded. He set it back up in 2005. And outside of work, he's also a speaker, advisor, an angel investor. And also he was honored as EU Search Personality of the Year. I believe that was in 2015.
16, yeah.
And also, interesting fact about Marcus, he actually was thinking about being a doctor, but after an internship decided to go into computer science. And wouldn't it be if he had gone into medicine? Welcome, Marcus, to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Thanks, Michael. Good morning, everyone.
And I'll share in the chat how you can connect with Marcus. Reach out to him on LinkedIn. He is there. And thank you very much, Maria, for joining us today. Maria is an SEO and organic growth strategist. She's on a mission to create lasting impact through organic marketing, coaching, mentoring, and motherhood. She has a portfolio spanning freelance, consultancy, as well as working for companies, and she connects the dots between all the organic marketing channels. She loves to work in ethical e-commerce and sustainable tech and health. And beyond SEO, she's a career and mentor and a coach for women. She helps them and guides them in their career transitions, in confidence building, and also professional growth. And interesting fact about Maria, Maria can mix languages all in one sentence. She speaks French, English, Dutch, German, Italian, and Greek. That's very interesting. How did you learn so many languages, Maria?
I was born like this. No, yeah, I picked them up when I was very small. Yes, at home, in school, and later on. Yes.
Well, thank you for joining us today, and you can
Thank
connect
you.
with Marie LinkedIn. I just shared her LinkedIn URL. So we've got lots of questions here today on our 63rd episode. So I'm going to pass back to Mike because we've got loads to get through.
Great. And I thought I'd start with this one because obviously last night Google announced another core update. So I feel like this one's a little bit timely. This came in before that. Hey, GS team, I just wanted to flag something that's been brought to my attention. Our website's non-brand traffic took a significant hit just before Christmas. Not just the homepage, but most of our product pages too. There was a core update and a spam update around the same time. And interestingly, the drop in organic traffic seems to line up with a spike in external backlinks to our website. Now, I'm not saying that any of that is the cause. It's just something that's worth noting. I'm the head of marketing, not an SEO, so I'll be raising this with our SEO agency. But realistically, is this something that can be fixed? How long does it typically take? Or are we just waiting for the next update to see if things shift? Would love to get your thoughts. But the next update is here, hence it being a good time to ask this. Who would like to kick off? Marcus, you're nodding. Are you happy to go for it?
Yes,
Go for it.
I'm very happy. This is really a question where like everything that we always try to avoid basically applies here the best, which is the answer, it depends, right? And the reason really is because if a company is being hit by a Google update, which is something that typically means Google has changed some of their variables so much that you have a systematic visible decline, it might happen that if the variables that they have changed are so severe that only by the next update this could be relieved. And we have seen this before. The September core update in 2023 had a lot of pages, especially when it came to content-centric pages, and only in the update a year later in August, I think, like in 24, pages have seen a relief and basically went up again. But as I said, it depends. It is often also the case that if you have been affected by an update and you better understand what are potential patterns, it could be because of like thin content, spammy pages, like if you have lots of content on your pages that might not fit your core audience, right? I don't know, if you're a publisher and you have lots of, I don't know, like voucher, gambling, whatever content, it might be the case that not only this directory or these directories are affected, but also others. If you basically fix the issues, you might see a relief outside Google's next core update. And this typically looks like a big increase. It's really like a steady increase over time. That's something you can also expect. But there is no general answer. There's no one size fits all solution. It really depends. But the most important thing is to really try to identify patterns so that you can improve. And I don't believe it's because of the backlinks, because Google said again and again that disavowing links and you can do all these sort of things in the end would not really have an effect, which that basically means theoretically all these bad links theoretically should not affect the performance and not be the reason for the decline. I hope that's good enough, but feel free to challenge me on my answer here.
Great. No, amazing. Maria, do you have anything to add?
Yes, like Marcus mentioned, there are many things to take into consideration. It could be also the UX or maybe the performance of the website. So many factors are important. So I would actually look at patterns, analyze data, and then just start optimizing it and then hope that it could actually improve with the next core update. Yes.
Great, which as I said, is rolling out as we speak. Joe, do you have any thoughts?
I don't have anything. I think what everyone said is very good. The only other thing I would say is if there has been any other updates for the tech team, have they done any other changes that maybe you're not aware of? Have they removed some pages or just any really dev work that may have impacted? But I agree with Marcus that it wouldn't have been like just because you've got some extra backlinks.
And so obviously part of the question is, how long does it typically take? Or are we just waiting for the next update? Are we just waiting for the next update? Obviously, the next update's here. So it's a good opportunity to monitor what's happening and see if it's been impacted. It sounds like you've already done a little bit of analysis with the fact that you saw a drop in December when the last update happened. So you know, and it would be good to know if it is just a particular page or across the entire site.
Yeah, and sorry.
No, go for it, Joe.
I just saw this from Rob. He said, if I would say it's so similar to its sister site, then it might be seen as a clone or a duplicate. Therefore, branded is the only traffic differentiator. So that's quite a good point because, yeah, looking at it, we obviously, if you go to the website, you will see that it's part trading as another company, which Rob wrote in the chat. Therefore, I think perhaps it might be seen as a duplicate. What I'd also say as well is on the About Us, there's not really that much information. It's very generic. If you've got a note from the managing director, the marketing director, we should really have actually a page of the people with photos and bios. If people don't want photos, then at least actually put who the team is. Put also around the contact, how long people would have to wait to get in touch. There is a live chat, but it doesn't really say the opening time for the live chat. I think it's just important to say about update the About Us page, put on who you are, how probably you're different to others in the marketplace, and yeah, maybe make yourself look different to your sister site, as Rob said.
Can I add one more thing? Because the domain was shared basically after I gave my basically explanation. And the interesting thing is this is in a loan space, right? Which is a very sensitive space, right? Your money, your life, very sensitive. And like Joe also said, and I think Maria as well, it really is that, especially when it comes to your money and your life, like having credibility is important, right? So not just having the author being displayed, it's important that you make sure that it's a real person behind that has credible expertise. And we have done a study. We haven't published a study yet, but that's like you, like exclusive. You heard first. We also in the study we scrape from all the pages that rank. We scrape the author schema. We take the person, and then we also look up if the person exists on LinkedIn. And we have seen a very high correlation, especially with sensitive topics, that if there's a person behind, again, correlation could be like not causation, but we have seen there is a high correlation of good content ranking better if there was a real author behind that is a credible person. And that's something you should have in mind. And on this loan page that was shared, I haven't seen it. So that might be one of the reasons why it had a decline.
Yeah, I think as everybody said, it's a really super competitive space. And if it was me, I'd also just make sure I look at who else has been rewarded and what makes them different. And like I was saying before, if it's just one URL on your website, or if it's all URLs or a lot of your pages, which it sounds like it is, I would look at those different search competitors for those different sections and just see what is it that they're offering, what are those kind of trust signals, what content do they provide, what other content, not just on the actual product pages, but outside of it, what other content do they have that gives that trust and quality and so on. Would anybody else like to say anything else on this before we go to the next question? Joe, do we have anything in the chat?
Simon saying, your money, your life site, got to be careful. What have the agencies said if you have an agency helping you? I think that's it right now. Just a joke in the chat.
Great. Okay, next question. Your office hours came up in conversation and someone said I should check it out. I know nothing about SEO marketing, zero clue if anyone even finds my website, and I have no idea where to start. Would this be a good place to learn the basics and figure out what to do next? I'll start on this one. I actually don't think it is. I think office hours is actually quite useful once you start and you might have a specific question or you're not sure why something's doing what it is. And so actually we can give you some help or we can give you some ideas. But in terms of if I was starting from scratch, I think the first thing is if you don't have Google Search Console set up, I would have that set up so you can see how much organic traffic you're getting and what you're appearing for and all of that stuff. All of the different tools have amazing blog posts and guides and all of that stuff. and courses. So I think I would probably start there. Google itself has some amazing documentation and a whole community that you can get some great ideas from. And there are some amazing newsletters and courses. Aleda, learning SEO.io, that's in the chat. I think that's a really good point. Joe, what do you think? Would you come here to learn?
I actually would come here to learn because we share a lot of advice as well. And we show that it's okay not to know everything, that we're always learning. I would say this is like a nice sort of learning in progress. And we share tips like lots shared about learning SEO.io. There's lots of courses to take as well. You can get certified by different companies as well. I really like it. And yeah, we're just a friendly bunch. So come.
Hey. Maria Marcus, I won't ask you that question, but I'll ask you, if you were learning SEO from scratch, is there anywhere that you would point somebody, or if somebody was coming to you that they want to improve organic traffic to their website, what would you suggest?
Typically, would say go to Google and like search exactly this, right? Learn how to do SEO. But honestly, I've found a lot of resources, if you search this, that are more or less outdated, that basically give you some of the, let's say, old advices. But nevertheless, I really think everything you've mentioned is great. This call, like SEO office hours are, I think, great, like what Simon confirmed here as well. There are lots of other good resources like learning courses where you can learn from scratch. Traffic Think Tank is one of the resources I would also recommend. It's owned by SEMrush, but not only because of this, I would recommend it. It's because courses on this website are done by people that are very credible and have lots of expertise. And I think the most important thing in SEO is trial and error. I really sound like stupid because, okay, why should I do my own errors? And the reason is because every business is so different. Every industry is so different. And from my perspective, how I have learned the most in SEO is doing things and trying to anticipate what the effect would be, and then learning if that's really the case, trying to stay in touch with other people that put a lot of passion and effort into SEO. I think that's the best I can learn and grow.
I would add something, follow the experts on LinkedIn. And Aleda has this SEO FOMO newsletter, digital marketing. And if you're a woman, but in the future, men will be also welcome. You can join the Women in Tech SEO community. Yes, and you have so many opportunities and resources there as well. Yeah, so.
I think the main thing really is that with SEO, you're just always learning. In our industry, we move very quickly, so it's totally fine that you don't know something. I think it's also great to come to events such as, or shows like this, and also events in real life if you're able to get there. But just bear in mind that everyone is in some part of their SEO career starting from scratch in a way, because there's always things that are changing and being updated. I just have a few comments in the chat. Yeah, Simon said that learning SEO from scratch can be a real challenge these days, as all the old content is there. It's out of date, but it's still there. He also recommends to practice, build a website, and then break it, maybe, because it's the best way to learn from your own errors. Francisco is also talking about trial and error. It's the best way. Pretty says someone needs to be curious. One person needs to be curious and need to ask the questions. Don't take everything as it is. If there's something that you disagree with, or that you're finding a bit difficult to understand, challenge that as well. Carola is talking about starting with the basics first, keywords, intent, the content, crawling issues, and then go deeper in. And then, of course, we have a very nice joke in here saying, just buy the links. Who needs more? Yeah. So sort yourself out with just links.
Even though I'm an SEO, probably shouldn't say this, but also SEO might not be the right thing for your business. It depends on how you operate and what you do. If you're only a small business, then the idea of spending tons and tons of time on SEO when actually you only need a handful of clients might not be the best way to go. So just because somebody's mentioned SEO and office hours and whatever to you doesn't necessarily mean that's the best way to go. But I like Simon's point. I think the way I learned was through trial and error and building websites. Just make sure that the website you're practicing on and breaking isn't your business website, because you don't want to be using that as your playground. Okay, awesome. Happy to keep going, Joe? Anything else?
Yes, happy. Just want to say thank you everyone for joining us today, and also thank you to those that are not watching us live. If you are enjoying the show, which I'm sure you are, click a like on our video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And those that are watching us live, I know you can't do that yet, But when the video goes live Monday, feel free to click a like and continue to subscribe to the YouTube channel because I know everybody is subscribed.
So when I said, is there anything in the chat? I meant the comment from Preeti saying 100% agree with Mike. That never happens.
Sorry,
okay.
missed that one. 100% agree with Mike. SEO is just one piece of the puzzle. Thank you, Preeti.
Yeah, you missed that other part. Okay, next question. The Google SERP has lots of information and full of insights, such as people also ask and related searches. How can we conduct an in-depth SERP analysis? Is there any way to analyze that before diving into the ranked pages? Who would like to kick off? So lots of information in the search results themselves, as opposed to just looking at the ranked pages. Both of you are nodding. Who would like to go first?
Maria, you want to start?
Maria, go for it.
Okay. Basically, I would try to see, okay, which keyword combinations can I use to see, okay, what gets featured? How does the page look like for different type of templates? So you have maybe the starting page, but you have category pages, product pages. How are they looking on the SERP? What have been the developments in terms of shopping, organic shopping listings and things like that? So try to see if you have structured data. So it's getting even more important nowadays to integrate that, to be sure that you're everywhere and adapt your content to the way that the SERP is taking the information for you, for AI overviews, for people also ask. So adapt your content to the different search intents, but also to different types of appearances on the SERP. So that's a quick summary, but Marcus, you can complement what I say.
Yeah, no, yeah, thanks, Maria. I think everything you said makes a lot of sense, and I will pick up on the intent piece that what you've mentioned, because I think the most important thing is not that you do an analysis on what kind of SERP features appear. It's more about like why search features appear, right? Mm-hmm. Because there is a certain intent. Google is pretty good in understanding what the user wants and therefore changes the SERP layout, right? Because it's all intent driven. If there's a lot of features that are more actual, maybe there's a map because it's a local intent. Maybe there are lots of, I don't know, popular product boxes or maybe videos because there's maybe an intent of a user to see a product or learn more about a product. And this is really something that should inform you as an SEO. Okay, obviously, intent here is to see, I don't know, videos or products. And you've also mentioned the type of page, Maria, right? So that's important, right? Because if there's a certain intent, my product page maybe doesn't match what the user wants. So for example, if I'm trying to, I don't know, believe that I can have a listing page being ranking because I have a list of products or list of services or whatever. And the intent of a user is like very specific on maybe like a specific product or like maybe even on the retention side, maybe something about the specific product, how it works or whatever. Mm-hmm. My listing page will never rank. So I shouldn't think about the ranking. I should think about the user intent first. And then if this is clear, there are plenty of tools out there, free tools, paid tools that can give you the snapshot of SERPs, right? To analyze, okay, is there a featured snippet? Is there an AIO? Is there a popular product box? And then I think it makes sense to dig a little bit deeper into how does a SERP look like? What's my page type? What's the intent? And how can I basically acquire users via Google search? Because I basically match the intent here. And this is, I think, how you should do it, right? Because you shouldn't just look at, okay, are there questions or related questions or featured snippets or so? It's more about why should I be someone that's being surfaced on the SERP? Is my content being a good match for the intent of the user? And this is how you should basically do the analysis. And as the SERP is like a zoo of different things nowadays, right? So there are like dozens or more than even dozens of different SERP features. And we all know that Google is really good in like doing real-time assessment of the query and the intent, so that even on the day of week or like location, definitely the SERP will look different. And that's also something as an SEO you always need to keep in mind, that the intent can change, right? Because maybe a search for an umbrella in a certain location is different in terms of results because of different variables. Just saying.
I think those are very good points from Maria and Marcus, and I also wanted to tie in with what we have in the chat, actually. Preeti said that the only thing I would say is that when you're doing SERP analysis, do it using the actual SERP itself and not via a tool. And Francesca is agreeing with that, but she's saying don't exclusively use a tool. Also look at the real SERPs as well, because obviously with things like Marcus was saying around the umbrella, it depends on where you are, what the intent could be. If you're obviously in London, you're probably going to buy that umbrella. If you're somewhere that's more sunny, maybe just looking at for a rainy day, which you probably won't, it's more informational, you probably won't buy it then. Carol was talking about information prioritization is very important too. It's a very important part of the SERP analysis. The amount of information Google gives you in the SERP is telling you quite a lot, like the description and the meta title.
Amazing. Yeah, to be honest, whenever I'm doing any competitor analysis or just working on a content brief or anything like that, I personally always start with the search results themselves. And like Preeti was saying, actually looking at the results and seeing what different types of content Google's serving. And for instance, if there's any discussions or questions or anything like this being shown, it gives me a bit of an indication of what's important when it comes to that content. And one of the things I find works really well is not just looking at it from my location, but also looking at the same search from different locations. So when I'm tracking, I'm often tracking from London, Sydney, New York, LA. So I get a real understanding of sort of general topics, what type of content people want, because that's what Google's trying to serve. And then that helps me with planning out what we're doing. Joe, do we have anything else in the chat?
You get another 100%
Hey,
agree, Mike. Yes, you do, from Francisca. Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Next question. Google is displaying free delivery from £40 on the results pages. I'm assuming that's for their website. However, there is no mention of that anywhere on our website. Our agency has crawled the website using Screaming Frog, and I'm assuming they can't find it. How can we remove this information from the SERP?
This is interesting.
Marcus, go for it.
The easiest way is you go to your Google Search Console, right? And there is a form where you can basically submit that pages are going to be removed from the index. That's one way. If there's urgency, right, and you need to have information being removed because for compliance, legal, or maybe other reasons, so there's a potential urgency or threat, there are like other forms that you can use, especially for these reasons that are not within Search Console, but they're available on Google's site. I don't have the link, but you can Google it, and this is, from my perspective, the best way. Of course, you can also at like the website and or look at your own source code. But if you really want to have something being removed in terms of like from the index, this is the best way. And this is something, I don't know why, but it could happen that maybe Google has an older snapshot and the page is maybe not that relevant and we cannot look up the cache date anymore. That's gone. So then maybe you basically publish the same content under a new page, like block the other page from the crawler. And maybe that's the best way in this moment to make sure the crawler gets the fresh new content with like the information that's obviously not on the page anymore. And that's the trick. Oh yeah, you also have for shopping results, the feed, right? Yes, you can also submit the feed. And I think there was this trick, I don't know if it's still working, that you use the Google News Publisher API to submit these pages. That was a trick in the past that Google crawler like comes first fast to crawl, but I don't know if that's still working.
Great. Maria, do you have any thoughts or anything else to add?
I would say that first you have to tell us what the pages exactly are concerned, and then also, have you done it? Have you tried to delete it already? And if not, how many hours, how many days have you been waiting to see this change? And so yeah, this also would add. So because it can be if it's in the meta description, in the title tag. So I don't know where, if it's only on the product pages or is it also on other type of text. So verify all these parts. Yeah.
Yeah, some great answers from Maria and Marcus. I also quite like the comments in the chat. So Neil was said that the delivery cost might be picked up if they have a Google Merchant account. And also, yeah, we have John saying for shopping results, also they might have it from a feed. And Rob was talking about they could have it from Google My Business profile. So that's something else to check. Yeah, within your different, for your website.
I think with a question like this, it's really helpful if you submit a domain or at least a page so that we can actually have a look. because obviously that also gives us an indication in terms of how far along your SEO journey you are. So for example, it could be a case of that this is somewhere in your meta description, and with some CMSs, they keep that very separate, and maybe that's something you're not aware about. But in other cases, it might be something a bit more technical that it's hidden somewhere and we might be able to find it. You said you've got an SEO agency, so I'm assuming you are a bit further along than most. One thing you could ask your agency to do, if they haven't already, is just do a bit more of a specific crawl with something like Screaming Frog, where you can actually search for exactly the text that you've got there. So it will search all of your HTML rather than just looking at things like your page titles, your meta descriptions, and some of your headings. Because it's got to be somewhere. If it isn't where people have said so far, it's got to be picked up from somewhere. So I would go back to Screaming Frog and do a real thorough search where, yeah, you're searching for that. But in future, if you have a domain, that's amazing because it just makes everything a lot easier. Joe, do we have anything else?
No, just that it's a lovely issue to hunt down.
Yeah, technical SEOs love this sort of stuff. So if you need help, Simon's your man, Simon Cox. Okay, next question. I'm not big on putting myself out there. I don't even have social media, but I know if we want people to find us, we need to be creating content and showing up online. How do I do that without it feeling fake or like I'm trying too hard? Joe, you got your hand up, and so have you, Maria. Maria,
Sure.
you go first.
Okay, thank you, Michael. I'm myself a small business owner, and I've been working with independents as well. And I know how scary and difficult it is to put yourself out there, to start your brand. But I would start with one question. What makes it important for you to serve your audience with your product or service? So just like, why are you doing this? And then from there, you start to see it with another pair of glasses, and you don't see it as, oh, I have to put content, I have to create a profile that attracts leads. No, it's really like, who are you and who do you serve? And from there, you create a match. And if you do it, it's because you love what you do. So just share it, have a brand identity, a brand message, optimize for SEO, learn some storytelling, make it personal, add value. So just see it that way, and then test and learn, follow SEO experts or personal brand experts, ask advice to a mentor who has been in your shoes for your specific niche, for example. So get surrounded by experts, mentors, coaches to help you with that, and just test and learn, start. And you don't have to show your face at the beginning, just take it step by step. Write, then post a photo, and then maybe in 2 years you can post a video step by step with the confidence part. But I would just see it in this positive light to start creating content to create impact in your own unique way. Yeah.
Amazing advice. Joe?
Well, I think that summed it up very well. I would say that you pick a platform that you feel comfortable with and post consistently of what you want to be known for, because they said, I know if we want people to find us, we need to be creating content and showing up online. So maybe they're talking about their company, but then they also said, I'm not big on putting myself out there. If you are the founder of the company, I would recommend you build up your personal brand. And then when you're working with the platform that you like for the personal brand, you could also do the same for the company brand. And that way you don't feel like, oh, I need to post on all these places. Just post consistently on a topic that you like. And then for the company, for what you want your company to be known for. Is it for keyword research? Is it for audits? Is it for strategy? And you post around that. And then if you can, it depends how you feel, then you can be starting to talk about that. And then obviously then you can then post about that. Here's a link to my slides, or I'm going to be at this event. But it can be overwhelming trying to think about all the different social media platforms. Just focus on one that you feel comfortable with. And as you get momentum, then you can look into other platforms.
Amazing. Marcus, do you have anything to add?
Just one little thing, right? Because online and offline is basically both the same. Because if you open like a small shop around the corner, like why should someone come to your shop and basically buy something, right? So the point really is that like it doesn't matter if you're online or offline, you always have to promote yourself and you have to really understand what you stand for, right? So if you just one out of many, and online you're always like one out of many because there's always competition, whatever you do. You have to understand that, are you the one with the cheapest prices? And that's maybe a value proposition you can promote and others will pick it up and you will gain traction. If you're the one with the highest quality and maybe you're more expensive, then it's going in this direction, right? Are you the ones that maybe has, I don't know, the deepest knowledge in a certain field or products that you have a deeper catalog? Then you use this for an advantage, right? Because you shouldn't create content because everyone creates content. You need to find the edge that you have against others. And if you don't have that edge, then you will always have, no matter what you do, will have a hard time of customers returning, right? Because there might be no good loyalty. You might have a good time to be successful. So you always have to think first, what is your edge? What is your advantage over others? And if you're like an offline business, it might be location. Okay, fine. That's online not the case, right? Location is like everywhere, but you need to find this edge and then you can start creating content. And I think that's the best advice people should have. You don't get rankings and traction because you create a content. You need to build partnerships. You need to find the people, the experts in the field that can leverage basically your content, right? People who might be able to give you more visibility because they have a blog or they have a social media account or they maybe have something that already has a large followership. And if they mention you, they give you a boost in visibility, right? That maybe also means maybe you get the good credible links, you maybe get customers through this. And this is the most important thing. And whatever you do, if you create a YouTube channel, no one will see your videos because you have them. You need to find the edge that you have, and then you need to find the partners that can really leverage or elevate basically your visibility. And I think that's harder and harder, like over time, right? If you start building your LinkedIn personality now, there's a ton of people that do the same. It's very hard. So you need to find what makes you and special. And that's hard. First thing, it's not happening overnight. It's hard work.
Something that I picked up on the question was around feeling fake. And it got me thinking about years ago when I used to be in-house and I was the marketing person. And there's lots of people that's actually on the front line doing sales, speaking to the customers, and I wasn't that person. And my way around that was always creating these opportunities, but getting those people to be the ones that would go on radio, or if we were creating blog posts, I might speak to them and get their ideas, and then I would turn it into something we could publish online. So I'm just wondering if this person is a bit like that, where you do marketing in-house and maybe you're worried that you're going to get caught out or something like that. So that was just something that I took from that. And one thing, if I'm honest, I'm not a big fan of going on stage or anything like that. I very rarely have done anything like that. I hate it. Obviously, we do office hours. And one thing I will always say is it's a lot easier to be the host than the star of a party. And that's why I really like this. So maybe this is your way forward, that in your industry, you do something where you interview other people, or you do your own version of an office hours type thing where you get other people contributing. But that's my personal way around it, because I can't think of anything worse than standing on stage. It's very rare that it happens. However, Joe, you're a star at that kind of stuff.
No, I'm not a star, but there's a good point that you raised. Just try not to compare yourselves to other people. I have a twin sister, so we've always been compared all the time. So I really try not to do the comparison. We have some comments in the chat here. Preacher said that it depends on the type of content that you want to create. A lot of brands actually start with short video content. Be real, genuine to yourself, and take it slow, like Maria said. And Simon is talking about building your brand and promote it. That doesn't need to be a personal message. It's a personal one. So if this is just for your company, then promote that company. And Francisco is talking about it's okay if you start and realize what you're doing, maybe you don't feel comfortable with, you can always change it. It could take a while to find your feet, to find what you enjoy and find what you feel comfortable with. So I think with anything, really, it's okay to make mistakes. And if you recognize that, you can change. Carol is talking about understand who you're trying to reach, and you can find a good way to start creating suitable content for your social platform or platforms. And we have a few ones. Jordan is talking about be you. Yeah, exactly. Be you, be genuine, be true to yourself, and the right people find you. And that can also be obviously for your brand as well. Tossin said also, don't worry about it, that you feel that you need to be on social media. You want to make sure that you have customers and your clients find you. And yeah, you have to get your post out, but you don't need to necessarily show your face. Put your brand there, really, and show that it's authentic, show that there is a face behind the brand. So we talked about the About Us for the other site. This is particularly true for the Your Money, Your Life sites. And just make sure also that all the contact details are up to date as well, and that people can get in contact with you. And that's it. And we've got like 11 minutes left.
Great. Yes, we have. Just on the fake thing. Also, if you don't think your product is the best at something, don't say it is. That's probably the easiest way not to be faking. Like Marcus said, focus on the things that do make you stand out, whether it's you're the cheapest or whatever it might be. Okay, next question. I have a website that targets English, French, and Russian speakers. The challenge here is language-based targeting rather than country-based targeting. For example, for English speakers, we are targeting the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and anyone else who speaks English. The same applies to other languages. I know how to target specific countries, but targeting specific languages and ranking for them across different regions for specific keywords and content is new and challenging for me. What should I do in terms of keyword research, content strategy, target audience analysis, SERP and competitive analysis, etc.? Keep in mind that I will target at least 3 countries for each language. I then followed up, and the website is for dental tourism in Turkey, but it serves Western countries and multiple languages rather than targeting a specific country. I don't have a URL, but that's what they gave me. Maria, you as the person that speaks so many different languages and stuff, you're probably the best person to start with on this.
Yeah, yes, and I worked in Belgium before. And in Belgium, we have 3 different languages, French, Dutch, and German, apart from English. I used to adapt a French website to a Belgian audience, actually. Here, when you say English, French, Russian, and you want to target different countries at the same time, I don't know in which language you have your website already, but it's not that complicated. I would just research those 3, actually, I would tailor the content strategy to these 3 languages and also check the cultural differences there might be in the countries. But actually, there are many ways to research, yes. So you have to see, okay, what is important for France, Belgium, for example. There are many regulations. So you have to see, okay, maybe in the east of Europe, people are more price sensitive. So in that language, you can maybe focus on those type of keywords. So try to understand your audience per language. In the language itself, there are, of course, also differences, but try to combine the groups first. So actually, I would just focus on having a website in these 3 languages and don't just translate. I'm also a translator and I've seen so many websites being just translated. And no, you really have to adapt your content to your audience and use the words that they're using as well. And as research, there are many ways. You can talk to people, interview. You can use all the SEO tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush, and Google tools as well. Check for the social media, do some social media listening. Look for groups also for where people tell you what they're looking for. So try to capture that. And then just adapt it to your website. There are many ways to search. Yes, that's what I would tell you to start with. Yeah, understand your audience first in those different languages, but you don't have to overcomplicate yourself with, oh, now how can I create content for France and now for Canada? No, so just start simple, I would say.
Amazing. Marcus, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm looking at all the tips we have here. So I think Simon gave a good tip with hreflang, which people need to use, but going to hate. I agree. John gave a tip as well here that you always should start with a minimal version. Just saying, because I want to complement this quickly, is because it's a typical dilemma, right? Like a hotel is, let's say a hotel is in London and people search for hotel in London, not when they're in London, but like when they're somewhere else. And it could be everywhere in the world, right? This is the typical dilemma. The most important thing really is for this dental site getting international customers for dental surgery in Turkey is that, okay, so if Russian wealthy people look for this, or if English speaking or German speaking, French speaking people look for this, in which countries? what's the audience? Who do I need, right? Because not everyone who speaks French in the world might be relevant. There might be certain markets like in France, or maybe like the UK, or maybe in the US, also English speaking, and might be the case. And then you should, like also John said, have a minimal version for these countries. Use hreflang, focus on, and it seems to be very simple for the surgeries, dental surgery side, focus on the services that you would like to offer for these potential patients. Include information like, okay, this is what typically a flight would cost to fly from New York to Istanbul, or maybe have some success stories. Think about the audience and why they should do it, because it's obviously not people that are in Turkey, but people somewhere else. And this, I think, will do the trick, because then you fit the intent of the people that sit in this certain country. And I've seen this a couple of times. I know, for example, lots of companies who just had a German website, and they also got traffic from Austria. They also got traffic from Switzerland, right, for the same German domain, because it's a DE domain, it's German, and people speak German and Austrian in Switzerland. But at this moment, when you have a local page, correctly using hreflang between the German domain and the Swiss domain or the Austrian domain, out of the sudden, even if the same content, traffic is going to increase, right? And not because it's just there, it's because also you fit a certain intent. Correctly using hreflang, I think it's a good signal for Google to determine like this is meant for this audience, even if it's the same language. And you might be able to have some certain adoptions for a specific country. Like Maria mentioned, using correct language is important, right? Because vocabulary matters, especially for people in like countries that might not have exactly the same intent. And that's my advice. And I've seen this working many times. And again, this dilemma is not unique. It's a very typical dilemma, especially like in travel and like many other industries where you have people coming from abroad. And follow the advice we have here, and maybe also looking at best practices, how others are doing it. That might also work very well.
Both of you, amazing advice. Thank you. Joe, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that was great. We had lots of comments from Maria and Marcus, just a couple of things from the chat because we're running out of time. Francisco's talking about if you do your keyword research in a language that's not the one that you're speaking or good at, always let someone who is a native just run it because of the nuances or the different slangs. Let's say Australian English, American English, and British English. Very different. I know. Was in that situation. And yeah, great tip as is from John that Marcus said. And Simon, yeah, targeting the languages, different countries with content written for them. hreflang is great, but yes, it's a bit complicated. And Albert's also saying about using ahreflang. Yeah, thanks everyone. Great tips today. Our 63rd SEO office hours.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, final question, which is our regular one. What are you most excited about in terms of SEO? Maria, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO?
How it's gonna interact and connect with other organic channels, but also other ways of searching. So AI is there, but voice. So what about Gen Z? How will the landscape change and the search behavior? So I'm curious about the next generation. And yes, this would be it. And I don't think it's going to be dead. And for me, in my perspective, is that SEO will stay important. And for me, I always call it the backbone of digital marketing. So for me, SEO is where you can actually create a good foundation for your digital marketing and then adapt it to the different channels and make the links and leverage all the digital landscape to grow online.
Amazing. Marcus, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO at the moment?
Likewise, what Maria said, I'm really excited that right now we are in a phase or in a transition over to something that's completely new, very refreshing. I'm doing SEO since 2000 when Google wasn't even in Germany yet. So it was like all about lots of different other search engines, and it feels very much the same. So that there's so much motion, so much change, so much interest. And I really think that what Maria said as well, the job of an SEO really is to understand the customer, the intent, and how the business basically fits into it. And with all these new AI search engines and how Google is changing, I think it's super exciting that our job is basically going to become more diverse, but also more important. That's super exciting.
Amazing. That's a nice positive note to finish on. Unless, Joe, you wanted to say anything?
I love events, and I'll be at SMX Munich next week if anybody's going to be there. So look forward to seeing those that might be attending SMX Munich.
Amazing. Great. I think we'll finish there. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Marcus, for joining us. Joe, thank you for co-hosting. Thank you to those that watch live. Thank you to those watching after on YouTube. And thank you to those who submitted the questions. We'll be back next week. So see you then.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Everyone. Bye.
Bye.